North Carolina Democrat Patrick Cannon was arrested on charges of corruption and included accepting $48,000 in illegal bribes from undercover agents. Classy. They were acting on a tip that Cannon allegedly took bribes 5 times in exchange for using his office to help the agents posing as real estate developers that were looking to do business in Charlotte. Now, Cannon accepted more than $48,000 in cash, airline tickets, a hotel room, and the use of a luxury apartment. The official charges are listed as theft and bribery in connection with programs receiving federal funds, wire fraud, and extortion, and that's according to a statement by the Federal Prosecutor's Office for the Western District of North Carolina. But he's not the only one that has been recently arrested on corruption. That's California State Senator Leland Yee was also arrested on charges of corruption and conspiring to traffic firearms. This is kind of amazing. Yee and an intermediary allegedly met repeatedly with undercover FBI agent, soliciting campaign contributions in exchange for setting up a deal with international arms dealers. I mean, we're talking shoulder-fired rockets and machine guns. Amazing. So there are some major allegations in there: accepting bribes, weapons trafficking, money laundering, drugs, and honest services fraud. That's interesting. Each corruption count can get him about 20 years in prison, and guess what? The gun trafficking charge will get him a maximum of 5 years and $250,000 worth of fines. This is amazing. Like, just the level of corruption from Leland Yee, who is, I mean, very hypocritical because he's one of those anti-gun crusaders and also anti-video game violence crusaders, and this guy seems like he belongs in the newest GTA game. I'm going to open it up to you guys. What do you guys think?
Let me jump in here first, get my piece in, because it's a gun story. I'm less concerned with the first guy. I mean, a corrupt politician, go figure. What I want to do is say, like, as liberals, Sean excluded, sort of, we must absolutely come down on this Leland Yee person, because, like, what they're doing is they are legitimizing crazy. It's the same thing to a lesser extent, or to a more legal extent, I should say, that Dianne Feinstein does. She is the big crusader for gun control. She's also the big crusader for, or at least from the Democratic side, for spying on the American people. And she's also the big crusader for not spying on the government as soon as that happens. Like, she is
hilarious.
She makes, like, what seems like a crazy gun control argument seem, I don't want to say she makes it legitimate because I don't want to concede that, but she makes it seem at least plausibly legitimate, because the gun control argument is that the government is coming for you to take your guns, so you can't defend yourself when the government wants to get crazy, which sounds like a crazy argument. But then whenever Dianne Feinstein, from the so-called liberal perspective, is the person coming after guns and trying to give the government more power to spy on you but not spy on itself, she legitimizes a crazy argument. And whenever you have an anti-gun local legislature who's actually a gun runner, that's the same concept. You're legitimizing what seem like crazy arguments, and you're making them stand up, and otherwise reasonable people go, yeah, well, maybe they've got a point.
The gun runner is my favorite politician of all time, because he will forever fuel conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory about how the government's just going to launder illegal guns anyway. So that's my favorite guy ever. Obviously, he should go to jail, and what he did is awful. And the hypocrisy, I'm glad that hypocrisy doesn't just extend to Republicans hating gay people, or John Kerry, or some Democrats for higher taxes not wanting to pay their taxes. So, like, that makes me happy. But overall, the story's disastrous.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys in that, the first guy, idiot. It's easy to take legal bribes in the U.S. system. Why didn't you take advantage of those loopholes? He's a moron for getting caught and should go to prison for it. But yeah, with this Leland Yee guy, he's the one who's campaigned vocally. Video games cause violence. It's going to draw people into gang culture. It's going to make people want to, kind of shoot somebody. I tell you what's going to make somebody want to shoot somebody: you selling them guns. It's incredible. He's selling kind of RPGs and stuff like that. He's got to go away for a long time. It's just awful.
All right.
To put some context into this from the actual systematic problems, because I mean this is an extreme story we won't see, I'm sure, very often. The first story is a little more on the usual realm of things, and I think what we really need to talk about, especially in America, and we talk about this almost every time politics comes up, but it's the money thing again. It really is. It's when you create a culture where you have to go out begging all the time for cash. Sometimes things go awry. You lose your soul a little bit. This is obviously the extreme end of that slippery slope where you, as Jeff pointed out, become some sort of weird video game character. But this is something that I think that this is what happens to a lot of people on smaller scales, which is you start out with good intentions to run for government. You have to raise so much capital to do so that one of two things happens. You end up making shady deals to get the money back, or you end up in power owing people money, neither of which is good for the people who you're supposed to be helping to run a democracy with. So I think that's really where things, once again, always go back to, which is the system is so severely flawed in all of our countries, but especially in America in terms of money, that these things start to happen, and not so much the second example where you end up with gun runners, but it's not necessarily as slippery of a slope as it should be.
Well, and the important thing, the way that I really wanted to connect these two as well, I mean, aside from the gun running thing, he was also in debt after losing his campaign. He was $70,000 in debt. And, of course, how do you make that money up? You take some illegal bribes.
Sell those guns.
You sell some, and you do some drug well, he was also involved in drugs, but you also do some gun trafficking. So, I mean, that's what you do. And look, I don't like Yi. Okay, I've got a lot of reasons not to like him now, especially more. But I hated the fact that he was, against video games. Like, I've got no tolerance for that. And
Right.
that's stupid. Everything becomes debunked.
I
I
wanted
just
to
have one quick point to Sean. Sean's talking about the conspiracy theory. It's got a few of the conspiracy theorists saying, "Oh, the government's coming to take away your guns." Well, in fact, it's actually the government giving out guns. Essentially, this is going to fuel the opposite direction. I feel.
there's a lot of conspiracy theories, and that the government, what they do is they give guns to criminals and then use those criminals to blame the Second Amendment. That's like a big online thing. But what I want to address Dan's point that I don't think this is a slippery slope issue, that if you allow money in politics, this is what ends up happening. I think this is what normally would happen if you didn't allow money in politics, is that some people would get bribed and then they would go to jail for it. Like, I think that this would be the result of the prohibition, is that we would actually find people that are bribing our politicians and punish them for that.
Wait, sorry, what are you proposing here?
No, I'm saying, like, this isn't like, oh, because we allow money in politics that people take illegal bribes because that's the culture. This is, if we got rid of money in politics, then these bribes, people who took these bribes would still go to jail, and that would be awesome. Like, we want to get rid of getting rid of the legal bribes is awesome, but, like, the illegal bribery will still happen from time to time.
Right, but that's not an argument for getting money out of politics. You're arguing that stuff is really bad, so we should have more bad stuff happen.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, this will happen with. There are some people who will take illegal bribes without money in politics.
But there are some people that will drink and drive, but that should still be illegal.
No. I'm saying I agree with you on that. I'm just saying that this isn't like, oh, because legal bribes are legal, he took illegal bribes. Like, it's not like, I don't agree with that, like, cultural thing.
We weren't saying that. Okay, I wasn't saying that so much in that case. What I'm saying is when you end up in debt, which this system definitely turns people into debt trying to raise money and capital for campaigns, when you need so much money just to come to the poker table, you're in some serious problems before you even play your first hand. You know what I'm saying? And that's the real problem, is that you have elected officials, obviously we've talked about this before, spending so much time trying to either fundraise so they don't end up in debt or get out of debt once they get into office. You're susceptible. Just think about anyone who's at home watching this. If you lend your friend and you're in the hole of $500, you're looking for ways to get that $500 back, and then you borrow from another friend, and now you're in debt to two people, and so on. This is not a way to run a democracy. And yes, am I saying that everyone's going to become a gun runner? No. But if you end up with $70,000 in debt, I think that was just for you trying to write for mayor or something. It wasn't even like a grand office. He was just trying to get like a local election. and he ended up in $70,000 in debt. So
No, but that's where the epidemic is. Let's be cable news right now and make up an epidemic. I'm so glad we talked about this story today because this morning NPR ran a story about another border town mayor in Columbus, New Mexico, who got busted for running guns. Now it happened 2 years ago, and it's part of their border series. That's why it came up. But yeah, this apparently small town mayors in the Southwest. There's an epidemic of them being gun runners. And so instead of coming after these legal concealed carry owners in bars, we need to come after local elected officials.
And what's crazy,
what's
crazy is you could just give out the guns and get more votes than selling them illegally.
I'm glad you're coming up with strategies all the time. That's good.
Well, you know, there was that church that actually started that, that did that strategy, giving
Don't
out
get me started on
guns
that.
for Jesus.
Don't get me started on that.
Oh, but anyway, I was just going to mention that the thing about both of these guys is that, I mean, in a lot of these instances where these politicians get caught for corruption and taking illegal bribes, it just makes me think of, like, how fucking stupid are you? My God, we have this system where you can get legal bribes as much as you want.
And if you don't,
all you have to do is just go suck up to a corporation or have some of your buddies create a social welfare group. Then you can get all the campaign contributions you want. Why are you so stupid?
And the funny thing on top of that is that if you don't take actual money and you take gifts, in a lot of states and municipalities, you can accept thousands upon thousands of dollars in gifts. So you don't even need to take actual money. Like, that's so ridiculous.
My God, these people are stupid and hypocritical, especially on the part of Leland Yee, who's a freaking Grand Theft Auto, gun runner. It's just it's crazy. It's I hope these guys get what's coming to them, you know?